I've been running businesses for over 10 years. And a little over 5 years ago, I decided to give up on macOS and Windows completely and switch everything over to Chrome OS. Now, in this video, I'm going to cover a little bit about my story and also how you can make a great choice between a Chromebook and a Chromebox. Chrome OS has got a pretty compelling pitch. Chrome can dramatically reduce the costs and the IT headaches of your IT hardware inside your business, but it doesn't actually have much overhead in terms of additional configuration requirements, additional management requirements, any kind of specialist knowledge. It all just works really brilliantly with the Google ecosystem. Now, it's less friendly if you're running everything on Microsoft, but if you're considering either a Chromebook or a Chromebox, you're probably not that wedded to the Microsoft ecosystem anyway. And so for businesses, particularly those that are already in the Google ecosystem, Chrome OS is a pretty compelling argument and just absolutely brilliant devices. What can I say? I absolutely love them myself. Now, I've created a video previously on Chrome OS for newbies. So if you're an absolute newbie and you don't even know what Chrome OS is, we'll go and check out that video for some more detail. But Chrome OS is Google's operating system. It's Google's answer to either macOS in the Apple ecosystem or Windows in the Microsoft ecosystem. And this is designed to be a lightweight ecosystem, particularly aimed at those who are doing work in cloud applications and typically working online, which is most businesses and most software these days. Now, Chromebooks themselves have really changed a lot over especially the last few years. Where previously, when Chromebooks initially came out around 10 years ago, they were aimed at the education market, and they were a little bit more kind of similar to what we used to call netbooks, which are low-powered, ultra-low-cost machines. And if we're talking in US dollars, some of them were around the $200 to $300 mark, really basic machines. Yet, Chromebooks have grown up a lot since then. We now have business machines aimed at power users. We've got machines with either 8 or even 16 gigabytes of RAM sometimes. We've got heaps of storage in some of the machines, and we've even got different form factors. Some of them are tough books. Some of them come with screens that flip over. Many of them are touch screens or come with styluses. And so Chromebooks have become a real serious workhorse rather than just being something for students in educational institutions. There's also lots of manufacturers that have entered the game. So HP, Asus, Acer all have pretty amazing flagship models, and Samsung has also entered the race as well. And so you've got quite a bit of choice and a lot of competition now from different providers, as well as Google also themselves still releasing their Pixelbook machines from time to time. Now, Google haven't had heaps of updates lately with theirs, but the Pixelbook Go, which is their latest iteration of the Pixelbook, is an absolutely fantastic machine. Now, let's talk about the Chromebox. The Chromebox has less of a market than the Chromebook, and many people haven't even heard of what a Chromebox is. I've got a dedicated video on Chromeboxes and why there are the form factor, why they were even created. Now, if you think about a Chromebook as, obviously being a laptop, well, a Chromebox is the desktop PC equivalent that would sit on your desk, you plug in a monitor, you plug in a keyboard and mouse, and you go about your work. I happen to be recording this video on my Asus Chromebox 3, which is my main workhorse computer and actually has a DSLR plugged into it, and I use this to record all the videos on my channel. Now, these are not just any machine stuck with doing online web work. These are pretty serious powerhouse machines. They've got a decent graphics card, they're able to handle heaps and heaps of tabs open and work with multiple applications at the same time. You can plug in all kinds of peripherals like USB cameras, Bluetooth devices, they work on Wi-Fi, and you can even plug in an Ethernet cable. And so these are serious machines that can be used for both internal staff, and also they have a pretty amazing kiosk mode as well, which allows you to use them for displays or kiosk machines. Now, one of the great things about a Chromebox is you can add your own accessories. So meaning that you get to choose the keyboard and mouse that you use, you get to choose the monitor that you're using, and they also are a little bit more powerful than most Chromebooks, meaning that if you're going to use a computer at a desk each day, you may want to choose to use a Chromebox rather than a Chromebook. Chromebox is just going to give you that extra bit of oomph for your workday computing. Now, personally, I'm not really a fan of working from a laptop during the day. When I'm traveling, and I travel often in my camper truck, some of our videos you would see are actually produced on the road, and I do use an iPad for my meetings and a Pixelbook for my laptop there when I'm working. But personally, I prefer having a big monitor and a big screen so I can see what I'm doing. And I really like now having a 4K monitor because that means that I can actually fit more on the screen as I'm doing my work. Now, for most Chromebooks, if I were to plug in a 4K monitor, they can handle a couple of tabs, but the machine will start slowing down after I've opened more than about 10 tabs. And I tend to do that generally as I'm getting work done. Also, because I'm working with video and multimedia, some of the Chromebooks tend to slow down and even have little glitches, particularly working with 4K content. And so for me, being able to have a machine that works better when I'm throwing heavy workloads at it is something that is pretty important to me as a power user. Now, it's not necessarily to say that every single person working in an office is a power user, but if you think about the ergonomics of someone working at a desk, usually if they're on a laptop, they're hunched over and they're leaning forward, and it's not always a great way to work. Now, I know there's laptop stands and those kind of things, but typically you've only got a 15 or a 17-inch screen on that laptop, and they're actually pretty small. Even if you're plugging in an external monitor, typically you're going to have a better experience doing away with the laptop and having one machine which is dedicated to your physical workspace. The main advantage of using a Chromebox over something like an iMac or a standard traditional Windows PC is that you don't have the kind of bulk. A Chromebox is a very small device, and that device is able to be tucked away, perhaps even behind your monitor or under the desk, seemingly out of sight and out of mind as well. And I really like that about Chrome because coupled with the excellent operating system, you also have a form factor that is really convenient. Now, unfortunately, because of the limited market for Chromeboxes and because less businesses have adopted them, there's less range to choose from. And so there's typically only a couple of models, and sometimes supply can even be a challenge as well. But for the use cases of your team members where they need to do primarily online work, or you're finding that they're doing most of their work just fine on a Chromebook, if you've got someone sitting at a dedicated desk, well, it might be time to consider a Chromebox. You don't have the overhead of a laptop where you've got, difficulties repairing, you have to deal with things like batteries, so they're going to last a lot longer, but also you're going to get more bang for your buck with the power and performance because you don't have the challenges of trying to cram everything in to a small laptop, which attracts a premium when your manufacturers are selling the device to you. So if you're trying to make up your mind on if you should choose a Chromebook or a Chromebox, well, here's some ideas to give you some prompts to think about. Think about when you actually use your computer. Are you used to a laptop, and do you like the laptop experience? Do you like having kind of all your work in one place, no matter where you go? Now, Google does a pretty good job of this across synchronizing different devices. When I open up my laptop, inevitably, I've got all my bookmarks there. I've got all my downloads saved into a folder in my Google Drive. So whatever machine I've got open, I've got all the same stuff there because I'm using Chrome OS on both the machines that I'm working with. But if you're the kind of person who wants to waltz in and out of an office and just have one device, then you might choose to bring a laptop with you, plug it into a monitor as you're sitting down at your work computer. Myself personally, I like being able to have a dedicated workspace with a Chromebox because what that means is I don't have to lug my laptop around anywhere. I see many people who have, when they're commuting into the office or they're doing work on the road, they'll take a laptop with them just to go into the office and plug that laptop in. Whereas if they were able to leave their laptop at home, they could probably get most of their work done from their mobile phone during their commute and then just sit down at a Chromebox in their standard workspace area. And so for me, that's a smarter way of doing things. So I'm not lugging a Chromebook around all the time and worrying about charging, does it have enough battery, and keeping things up to date on that second machine. Now, if you're the kind of person who likes to have your own chosen monitor, your own special keyboard, your own special mouse, well, I'd recommend you consider getting a Chromebox there as well. If you've got a laptop, but you're plugging in a bunch of different dongles, it just seems a little bit redundant, so it probably makes sense to go there. But really the biggest choice that you're going to come down to here is your power and performance trade-off. A Chromebox is just going to get you way more bang for the buck when you're actually working in a static place because it's going to breathe better, it's got bigger fans, and it's got the ability to keep itself cooler than a Chromebook does. And so any laptop device is really going to be limited by how warm it is. And for most laptops, they even have lower powered processors, which mean that there's just really less energy for you to be able to get your work done on that device. Now, I think it's important to say whether you choose a Chromebook or a Chromebox, that's a great choice over sticking with a Windows or a Mac ecosystem. And particularly not just for you, but for your team members and staff as well. We've found that businesses that switch to using the Chrome operating system save tremendous amounts on IT support and hardware upkeep. That's because, for the most part, these systems are automatically updating, completely autonomous, and just connected to your Google account for all of your administration. You don't need to run servers or online management tools or anything like that when each one of your Chrome devices in your organization is connected to your Google Workspace account and can receive policies over the air to each one of your devices. Now, if you're interested in some help setting up some policies for your devices or even managing a fleet of Chromebooks or Chromeboxes, that's the kind of thing that itGenius can help with. But if you're interested in starting with the basics, well, there's plenty of guides that we have in our administrator's guide inside our Google Classroom. I'll share a bit more about that later. For me personally, as an entrepreneur and as the leader of my business, I want a basic and minimalist experience so I can just focus on getting my work done. The thing I love about working with Chrome OS for myself personally is that it auto updates in the background, and it just doesn't bother me with the kind of notifications and pop-ups and application challenges that I would usually have on a Windows or a Mac machine. And don't worry, I still own them and I use them from time to time, but I find myself each time I open one of those machines and it dings and bings and pops up with update alerts and backup alerts and all those kind of things, that it's just an experience of more friction trying to get my work done. Whereas anytime I sit down on my Chrome device, it's logical, it's repeatable, it's ready for me to go, and it's very much dependable. If you're interested in making a switch to Chrome OS, well, make sure you check out some of our other videos on our channel all about the Chrome ecosystem and Chrome hardware devices. We've even got some guides on how to make the switch if you're interested in switching from Windows or a Mac over to the Chrome ecosystem. Now, if you're an organization and you qualify, we even have a Chromebook challenge where we will ship you a Chromebook and let you try it out for you and your executive team for a couple of weeks, and then ship it back to us if you don't like it. But if you do like it, you have the opportunity to purchase it from us. If you're interested in some help with hardware models or a recommendation, you can click on the link below, book in a consultation with our team, and they'll be there to help you out. Now, if you're already a user of Google Workspace and you are running a business, whether you're a sole operator or a large organization with hundreds or even thousands of employees, well, itGenius is here to help. We have an offer available for you to transfer your licenses over to us. It doesn't cost you any extra, but you get access to some pretty amazing advantages. Not only do you get a free health check and some basic support from our professional support team, no matter where you are in the world, you get access to our Google Training Library. Now, this is inside of Google Classroom, and it's a free training library for you and your team to upskill and learn more about how to get the most out of your investment in Google Workspace. If you're interested in that, click the link below to the transfer in offer, or if you'd like some help from our team, our contact details are below. If you're not already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, check out our other videos, check out our growth roadmap on the channel, and we've got a dedicated video to that to show you at each stage of your business where your technology strategy should be focusing. And if you like this content, give me a thumbs up. Let me know what you think about what I've shared about Chromebooks and Chromeboxes in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer. Cheers.